Fire for your mind. Culture clinician. Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
A very, very interesting last 2 weeks. As you could imagine, a whole lot of crazy stuff's been going on in my life, and I wanted to give you all a couple updates, as well as what today's topic would be, which is they are coming for me. They are coming for your boy. Long story short, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the feedback. I really genuinely took a lot of the feedback in about, you know, the direction I should go in terms of how to approach certain things, in terms of how to communicate to both men and women. But the hate has been crazy. They according to those that dislike what I've had to say so far, apparently I'm a hater of women. Apparently I'm gay. Apparently I have a fake degree and I'm not a real therapist. That's news to me. So you could imagine folks is scouring the internet looking to see how they can shut your boy down and potentially get me to lose all my income. So it's unfortunate that people try to approach things in that way, but that's public life, I guess. Unfortunately, I don't know that they thought about the possibility that I not only intentionally did this, but I intentionally wanted to get those specific reactions.
Did you know that Jezebel's body got eaten by dogs? So she was looking down from her window and Jezebel started to taunt Jehu. Now Jehu was a general who had overthrown and killed her son. Now Jehu ordered her eunuchs, which were upstairs with her, to throw her out of her window. So later, when he commanded that she be properly buried, as a king's daughter, it was then discovered that just like the prophet Elijah had spoken, dogs had eaten most of Jezebel's body. Now, Jezebel's goal was to bring pagan worship to the kingdom of Israel. And Queen Jezebel paid the ultimate price for trying to do that. See, no one can come against the Most High. So she was thrown from a high window, and then her unattended body was devoured by dogs, fulfilling the prediction of the prophet Elijah, who was God's prophet and also Jezebel's nemesis. Now check out the other videos I have on Jezebel and the spirit of Jezebel, and I will see you in the next video.
Marie Laveau, was known to work her skills at Congo Square. Well, she and her daughter, the second Marie Laveau. Marie 1 earned a reputation of being able to harm people and protect people from harm with her rituals, specializing in romance and business quarrels. As a hairdresser, gossip and client coaxing made her able to appear all-knowing and ultimately a very powerful harborer of secrets for the New Orleans elite. Whites and blacks alike would go to her for business. Judges wanting to win elections, a woman wanting to discredit another woman for the attention of a man, she did it all. However, she usually charged whites and helped black people for free. Her daughter, Marie II, followed in her mother's footsteps by becoming a voodoo priestess. Whereas Marie 1 was usually kind and only vindictive when the situation called for it, Marie 2 allegedly relied on the fear of her subjects to remain in control, though she reportedly provided aid during the yellow fever epidemic of 1878. She would prove to be adept at voodoo spectacles, however. Even though Marie 1 died on June 16, 1881 at the alleged age of 98, sightings of the voodoo priestess would continue to be seen for years to come. Some of these can be attributed to Marie II, who didn't die until the 1890s. However, sightings of Marie Laveau continued until as late as 1918. Urban legend says that drawing an X on Laveau's tomb and leaving an offering of money, candy, or white rum 3 times will earn you a free wish from her. By the way, Laveau never sat for a painter or had her picture taken, and this portrait regularly used for her is not actually her. Throughout the late 19th century, voodoo was sensationalized. Nationwide after enslavement, when Reconstruction was a hotly debated political issue, newspapers began describing hoodoo and voodoo in frightening terms. Said one in 1873, voodooism is simply the worship of the devil. In Louisiana, accounts of white journalists experiencing wild orgies and voodoo at St. John's Eve ceremonies around the bayous of Lake Pontchartrain began in 1869. While voodoo practitioners were making a killing from the white thrill seekers who watched the dancing, drank alcohol, bought coffee and gumbo, and sometimes sex, stories about what went down were partly fabricated and featured things from interracial orgies to cannibalism. Male voodoo practitioners were also linked to rape in the white media from the 1870s to 1880s. Wrote one New Orleans news editor in a story about voodoo, "The Negroes of Haiti have had the absolute government of themselves for 3 3/4 of a century, and every desirable element of civilization almost has been wiped out in the decadence of the
nigga ass, loser ass nigga.
Your video with comments about a
He's a
certain
loser.
other female.
Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need y'all.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings. And most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
You can't.
If you a that's for the streets.
You can't delete the ski. You can't delete the ski.
I know a who used to suck dick every mother night.
You can't
delete.
Therapists explain in less than 4 minutes why modern women black struggle with taking accountability, and more than average lack the emotional intelligence or the maturity to make the proper choices in dating and other relationships. And due to the lack of safeguards in place, many men that are traditional and masculine are exercising their options by being silent and checking out.
I began to really think deeply about this idea, and one of the things that came across my mind is, in the last 9 months or so of me being in my private practice, I have myself experienced many women, whether they came in as a couple or they came by themselves, they very abruptly discontinued their therapy. And I started to reflect and really think, what was going on here? And I noticed that after I had to confront them about something, I had to bring to their attention something they were doing that wasn't contributing to the health of the relationship, they became very defensive and very, just very harsh, and they stopped coming. And
no one can hold black women accountable. Black women, unfortunately, we have adopted this mentality that I can do whatever I want to do and can't nobody tell me anything. And this is why we are where we're at. We live in a very selfish, egotistical society now that nobody cares. If you're a black woman and to hold black women accountable, you have to be ready to fight, because it's going to come with a lot. I'm always thinking about how young girls are being influenced. So what us grown women are doing is influencing these girls to do these out of control, I don't care attitudes. They have the most disgusting attitudes, and you can't even check them because they have their moms who say I could do whatever I want. So can't no one hold us accountable. Not a black man. Your white boss probably, that's probably the only one who can tell us what to do because he pay us. A gay man can tell us what to do. There's a black woman or a black man, a straight black man. We don't want to hear it. If you want to piss a black woman off, just tell her the truth. I promise you she'll get mad. And that might sound crazy. Who would get mad at the truth? How can you argue with the truth? Black women. It is our kryptonite. It is like diarrhea to the mouth. It's like diarrhea to the soul. We have this disdain thing when it comes to the truth.
It's that I can't cover everything at once or we would be here all day, but I also see women as more disordered than men. It's not just what I think, it's not just what I see by using my 2 eyes, my 2 ears, and some common sense, but it's also in the statistics, and we have to talk about that. So when I say that women are more disordered than others, it's not a perception. It's a reality. It's a fact. It shows up in the numbers. Like, it's so bad that we can actually quantify it. It's not a qualitative issue. It's not about your experience or your perception or what's going on in your world or your circle. We're talking about this is so prevalent that it actually shows up in the numbers. We can quantify how big of a problem this is.
Fire for your mind. Clinician. Aside to become the kosher clinician, the story and the war cry behind the kosher clinician was similar to some of the struggles and the pains that I have been through as a man. And some of you men are still going through that right now. There's a philosophical term called an existentialist crisis. Basically what that means is that you begin to ask yourself the question, why am I existing? What is the purpose of my existence? And I think that's the story of a lot of men that have not been more or less raised or under the tutelage of masculine men. One of the greatest indictments, guys, about the manosphere is that people assert and assume that the manosphere pushes misogyny and hate. But the manosphere is not responsible and was created a silo as an affront to women or black women. But the manosphere was responsible for the pain and suffering that many black men were going through and continue to go through as we speak now. Once again, Jeffre, we are going through an existential crisis. Our country is in trouble. Some of you are in trouble mentally, physically, and emotionally. And you're not ready to move to higher ground until you get the requisite help that's going to help you become the better version of yourself.
Real men put the strap down and we can toss it. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician.
All right. There it is. All right. Now hit it for me.
And it ain't culture. 7 in hell is what they taught you. We'll put them, and you can back up in young dose. Kosher. Clinician.
All right, stop that. All I want you to say is, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. Say that first, okay?
All right.
All right, you ready?
Start over?
Yeah, start it.
No. Okay, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher, and...
If it ain't 7, it ain't culture.
Okay.
Heaven and hell is what they taught you.
Okay, perfect. Do that again, but give me a little attitude. If it ain't 7, it ain't culture.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And action.
Young heads picking back up in young dolphin. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician. That was cool.
If it ain't 7, it ain't culture. Heaven and hell, that's what they taught you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up in young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Asking fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen.
can stop me. Cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what, yeah. Susceptible now, before the moment flies, before it flies. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what. Susceptible now, before the moment flies. In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No, it's not hard to fool me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah, lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. To the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what, yeah. Susceptible now, before the moment flies. Ooh, so tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what. Ooh, susceptible now, before the moment flies. It's not a problem, no, 'cause I know what I'm getting into. Yes. Yeah, and nothing can stop me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what,
Rebellion is the sin of witchcraft, which is power, because Lucifer wanted power, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. So stubbornness means I'm not going to comply, therefore it's part of iniquity and idolatry. The iniquity is it goes against order, the idolatry is the aggrandizement of self or the worship of self. And they're coming against this young man, not because he's done anything wrong, you know. He came to the populace, he spoke eloquently, he was respectful, he was kind. But see, when you have a spirit of witchcraft, and when you have a spirit of control, because a lot of folks don't understand, this stuff is spiritual. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. What you're seeing now, guys, is spiritual. What you're seeing is spiritual. It ain't got nothing to do with right or wrong. But it's more spiritual than anything. Ever since the fall of man, woman has wanted control in the relationship, unless she was a godly woman and a woman submitted to the will of the Most High. But what you're seeing now is spiritual. It's spiritual warfare. And the women want control over the men. The way they get control is through seduction, through smear campaigns, and through manipulation. Rebellion against the divine order of Yahweh, and then idolatry, which is her feelings, and also stubbornness. Most modern women are stubborn. I had a woman told me in practice the other day, she said that when she was doing therapy, she said that a lot of times the women therapists will have some kind of assault against the men. And the reason why she left a male therapist because she said a lot of times the women were harsh towards her husband. And so what it is, the Jezebel spirit wants the man to submit under the authority of the woman. That's the Jezebel spirit. Let me show you guys something real quick. We're going to play this clip again. Hold tight.
Spiritual. Feminism did change the meaning.
And so, as I've said, and as this lady has said, it's cultural, guys, and also it's spiritual. The spirit of witchcraft is a spiritual issue. The spirit of feminism is a spiritual issue because the spirit of witchcraft and feminism is tied to the good lie. The good lie is that the woman is the divine feminine, that she shall be as God. That's why God told people to stay away from divination and witchcraft, because divination and the occult gets you into the spirit realm. And once you get into the spirit realm, you start dealing with dark entities. What people don't understand is that the Nephilim taught men witchcraft, they taught them sorcery, they taught them the constellations, they taught them the zodiac. All that knowledge came out of Eastern religion in Babylon. So a lot of women now are turning to witchcraft, but they're slowly using social media, and I'm going to prove it to you in a minute, to usher in witchcraft. And now this young man, Jeffrey St. James, has been the target because he's not doing anything wrong. But if you don't tell the story the way Jezebel expects you to tell the story, then they will begin to smear your name because it's tied into narcissism. A lot of these witches have narcissistic tendencies. And that's why they have so much vitriol towards myself, Jeffrey St. James, Kevin Samuels, or any man that takes a stand on heteronormative principles. A Gregory scholar said Jeff pointed out in his videos that he purposely set 3 traps to expose certain attitudes and behaviors. All traps proved successful once he went on various perils. It reminds me when you, hold tight. It reminds me when you use, yes, so he said, yeah, I've done it. I've used the same test. See, it's not because it's not the truth. If you don't tell the truth or more or less convey the message they think you should convey the message, then you're not a therapist. So they're going to question your credentials. You can't be a real therapist because in their mind, a therapist is a therapist that confirms their pathological behavior. Not a therapist is going to point out their bad behaviors, the bad behaviors of the man and the woman. So a lot of black men don't go to therapy, not because therapy cannot be powerful, but most therapy is fed through what's called the rope range of the feminist theories. So if you get a traditional masculine therapist many times, they're not used to it. Let me play this clip real quick and you guys can see what I'm talking about. Watch this.
Change the memes and the culture is cultural and spiritual. Feminism did change the memes and the culture is cultural and spiritual. Feminism did change the memes and the culture.
Couple of generations.
Yeah, but I actually think the bigger problem is cultural and spiritual. Feminism did change the memes and the culture, but no one talks about when you introduce birth control into a society. All of these declines in the industrial world started at the exact same time that the pill was introduced.
What's going on, y'all? It's been a very, very interesting last 2 weeks. As you could imagine, a whole lot of crazy stuff's been going on in my life, and I wanted to give y'all a couple updates, as well as what today's topic would be, which is they are coming for me. They are coming for your boy. Long story short, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the feedback. I really genuinely took a lot of the feedback in about, the direction I should go in terms of how to approach certain things, in terms of how to communicate to both men and women. But the hate has been crazy. They according to those that dislike what I've had to say so far, apparently I'm a hater of women. Apparently I'm gay. Apparently I have a fake degree.
And that's a typical shaming language. Your mama black. You're not a therapist. And Jeffre is a good young man, but Jeff gonna understand that this ain't nothing to do with Jeff. They hate Jeff because of the spirit that's in Jeff, which is the spirit of truth. So what you're seeing manifesting in this current world now is basically the spirit of Jezebel. It's the Antichrist spirit. And if you're not a believer, it doesn't make any sense to you. But you gotta understand that human beings are tied to 3 frames. It's called the biopsychosocial spiritual. If a person's not getting their spiritual needs met, many times they turn to the dark arts. Some of these women are turning to the dark arts because they've been broken, they're hurt, they've been pained. They've been hurt by men. So they go into witchcraft as a way to control men. But see, here's the danger with that. When you start getting into the dark arts and being tied to witchcraft, you bring damnation to your soul. Because you're veering into a dimension that the Most High never intended for nobody to go into. Because once you start veering into witchcraft, then you start getting into what's called dark dimensions. You could actually bring demons into your family and bring curses into your family. But these women do this as a form of controlling the men and more or less making the men pay for the hurt that was transmitted towards them. So anytime a man holds a woman accountable, they don't hear objectivity. They hear that the man is when a man holds a woman accountable, she doesn't hear objectivity. What she hears is that he's attacking me because she doesn't have the proper emotional regulation. And so this young man didn't do anything wrong. But I told Jeff, him and I spoke, you got to be careful, young man, because I have to be careful. That's why I tell you guys to support when I'm going. That's why I've even said a couple of times, I was thinking about doing, using different forms of content, because you don't want to mess your livelihood up even though you're not doing anything wrong. This is edutainment. But when you stand firm, stand on business and tell the truth, the spirit of witchcraft, because most modern women are witches. They have a witchcraft spirit. The witchcraft spirit is tied into rebellion. The rebellion says that the man is under them and the woman is above the man. But if you look at theology in the book of Corinthians, it's God, Christ, man, woman, and children. The witchcraft spirit wants the man under her control. Like Barack Obama. Barack Obama got a Ahab spirit. Michelle Obama got a Jezebel spirit. He's a weak man. And she's the masculine dominant one in that relationship. And most women that have a Jezebel spirit, they don't want masculine men. They want weak men because they want to bring control. Because witchcraft is about control. It's about rebellion against order. That's why most modern women operate under a spirit of witchcraft. So I use this as hyperbole. She's a witch. But it's not only that they're literally practicing witchcraft, but also it is symbolic that they're practicing witchcraft. And any woman that's a God-fearing woman, a woman of faith that stands in alignment with men, they attack those women too. they will attack those women too. So guys, do me a favor and listen, share this stream, please. Share this stream, get the likes up, donate to the channel, share the stream, because they sought to destroy Kevin Samuels. They somehow tried to destroy me, and now they're trying to destroy this young man, a fellow clinician. See, if you don't tell their therapeutic story and how they think you should tell the therapeutic story, then you're not a therapist, you're fake. And that's a sign of cognitive dissonance, guys, at its highest.
And I'm not a real therapist. That's news to me. So you could imagine folks is scouring the internet, looking to see how they can shut your boy down and potentially get me to lose all my income. So it's unfortunate that people try to approach things in that way, but that's public life, I guess. Unfortunately, I don't know that they thought about the possibility that I not only intentionally did this, but I intentionally wanted to get those specific reactions.
Did you know that Jezebel's body got eaten by dogs? So she was looking down from her window and Jezebel started to taunt Jehu. Now Jehu was a general who had overthrown and killed her son. Now Jehu ordered her eunuchs, which were upstairs with her, to throw her out of her window. So later, when he commanded that she be properly buried, as a king's daughter, it was then discovered that just like the prophet Elijah had spoken, dogs had eaten most of Jezebel's body. Now, Jezebel's goal was to bring pagan worship to the kingdom of Israel. And Queen Jezebel paid the ultimate price for trying to do that.
And you got a lot of women now that's trying to do pagan worship. You got a lot of so-called women that are therapists that practice witchcraft. You know, they're into sage burning, crystals, chakras, even using the zodiac as a way to determine their life. Listen, I don't live by the zodiac, but the zodiac, some things from the zodiac is true. Christians have to be careful about consulting with the zodiac because it is tied to divination. On surface, what it's saying, some of it is true. Just like I believe that the astronomy came out of Nephilim knowledge. The fallen angels taught men about the constellations and the stars. They were called the Nephilim. They were called the B'nai Elohim. They were the sons of Elohim. They were the sons of Elohim, which was Yahweh. Because this knowledge is it's esoteric. You can't predict some of the stuff that this stuff is saying. So it's some truth to it. But if you use a zodiac as a way to determine your life, if you read your readings and tarot cards and all that mess, you'll delve into what's called uncharted territory, which is dangerous, and you can bring damnation to your soul. And that's the dangers of it. And so once again, a lot of women are operating under the spirit of Jezebel. They're operating under the auspices of a Jezebel spirit. You got the black woman in church that's operating under a Jezebel spirit. Some of these women, they want to be pastors and bishops, are operating under a Jezebel spirit. Because according to theology, a woman's not supposed to teach a man. But they get mad at me and get mad at the word of God. But the word of God is clear. So the Jezebel spirit thinks she's better than men. She looks her nose down on men. And that's why they get mad at other men that tell the truth and become clarion callers.
See, no one can come against the Most High. So she was thrown from a high window, and then her unattended body was devoured by dogs, fulfilling the prediction of the prophet Elijah, who was God's prophet and also Jezebel's nemesis. Now check out the other videos I have on Jezebel and the spirit of Jezebel, and I will see you in the next video.
Time, Marie Laveau was known to work her skills at Congo Square. Well, she and her
and some folks, some Africans use voodoo or Voodoo, and you can go all the way back to Louisiana. Marie Laveau was one of the biggest voodoo users of that time, but it goes back to what I've said. Some people get into witchcraft because of pain. Some get into witchcraft because of brokenness. Some get into witchcraft because of hatred. Some get into witchcraft because of insecurity. But you can do it if you want to. You're going to bring damnation to your soul. Because the scripture is clear that a person that practices witchcraft will not enter the kingdom of heaven. You will not enter the kingdom of God if you are practicing witchcraft. You're going to be destroyed by God's wrath. And that's why a lot of churches now don't stand firm on business. When I was talking to the couple on yesterday, they were telling me that the pastor would not even speak up and tell the truth because he didn't want to offend his wife, which basically means idolatry, Stubbornness and rebellion is this witchcraft, and stubbornness is idolatry. And women worship their feelings over the word of God now. You can show them objective truth and show them what the word of God said, because they're so stubborn, they won't listen. So they rebel against objective truth because their feelings mean more than what the objective word of God means. And so a lot of people consult do witchcraft because of myriad reasons. Some, the trauma-informed witch, the ugly witch, the feminist witch, the overweight witch, the unhappy witch, the power-hungry witch, the money-hungry witch. They become witches for all kinds of reasons. And like I said, this is literal, but also symbolic.
Daughter, the second Marie Laveau. Marie 1 earned a reputation of being able to harm people and protect people from harm with her rituals, specializing in romance and business quarrels. As a hairdresser, gossip and client coaxing made her able to appear all-knowing and ultimately a very powerful harborer of secrets for the New Orleans elite. Whites and blacks alike would go to her for business. Judges wanting to win elections, a woman wanting to discredit another woman for the attention of a man, she did it all. However, she usually charged whites and helped black people for free. Her daughter, Marie II, followed in her mother's footsteps by becoming a voodoo priestess, whereas Marie 1 was usually kind and only vindictive when the situation called for it.
And once again, guys, it's all about power. And this is what Frederick Douglass said. Frederick Douglass said that power never conceded to anything without a struggle. He said it never have and it never will. Power never concedes without a struggle. So a lot of this, guys, is tied into power. It's tied into power. It's tied into power, it's tied into control, and it's also tied into manipulation. And a lot of this vie for power is because the woman wants to be over the man, which is out of order.
Marie II allegedly relied on the fear of her subjects to remain in control, though she reportedly provided aid during the yellow fever epidemic of 1878. She would prove to be adept at voodoo spectacles, however. Even though Marie I died on June 16, 1881 at the alleged age of 98, sightings of the voodoo priestess would continue to be seen for years to come. Some of these can be attributed to Marie II, who didn't die until the 1890s. However, sightings of Marie Laveau continued until as late as 1918. Urban legend says that drawing an X on Laveau's tomb and leaving an offering of money, candy, or white rum 3 times will earn you a free wish from her. By the way, Laveau never sat for a painter or had her picture taken, and this portrait regularly used for her is not actually her. Throughout the late 19th century, voodoo was sensationalized. Nationwide after enslavement, when Reconstruction was a hotly debated political issue, newspapers began describing hoodoo and voodoo in frightening.
And Gregory Scott is correct. They're going to always ask about your credentials if your talking points don't parrot them. That's why I'm not surprised that they're attacking this young man, because they attacked me. And so what you guys got to understand, it's risky doing content as professional men when you're standing up for objective truth. The little money we get from YouTube, really, it's not even worth it. Many content creators will say you should just do something different. Why advocate for men when you're taking the kind of risk that you're taking? We take risk. Jeffre's taking risk. I'm taking risk. Any man that's taking risk. That's why we tell you to support the stream. That's why we tell you to share content if you don't have any money. Don't let people like Gregory Scotland be the only one to show love. And that's why I've told you guys several times in the past, I'm going to still do male-centered content, but I'm going to start streaming into different paths because it's just, it's just too risky. I'm not going to mess my money up and mess my license up for a few dollars. It won't make any sense. Not because I'm scared. Y'all know I've been doing this for years. I'm not scared, but I'm 53 years old going on 54. I'm not afraid to go against the spirit of Jezebel because the Jezebel spirit have attacked me, but I got to ask myself the question, from a logical perspective, does it make any sense financially? So am I not just going to do this for a hobby? Because listen, it takes a lot of time, guys, to put these shows together, to research it, to edit it, about night going shows for the brothers, for the brotherhood. And so if you don't have money, share the stream. But if you do have money, support it. Don't let the same brothers show love like Gregory Scotland. Don't let the same ones show love. Support what I'm trying to do. Because they're coming for people like Jeff St. James. They're coming for me. But because we have a love for male empowerment and male mental health and traditional women, then that's why we do it. We put our necks on the line for the love of the brotherhood and also for the love of traditional women. But you're right, they didn't ask about Cheyenne Bryan what her credentials were. Because Cheyenne Bryan's credentials doesn't go against their narrative of power, control, dominance, and narcissism. Because Cheyenne Bryan herself has some of the same traits that we're talking about. These women think they are better than men by default. And anytime a voice comes out as counterintuitive to what the masses are talking about, then all of a sudden he's not a true therapist. They're not used. They want therapists that more or less operate on their woke lens. They want therapists that more or less affirm. Most women, a lot of women and men, but most of the women come to therapy not because they really want to change, but they'll send their husbands and boyfriends to therapy, and they themselves will come because they want therapists that affirm their pathology instead of a therapist that's going to tell them the truth. And y'all heard what the women say when they come to therapy, they check out because they don't want the truth. So you're not doing anything wrong. They just don't want the truth.
Terms. Said one in 1873, voodooism is simply the worship of the devil. In Louisiana, accounts of white journalists experiencing wild orgies and voodoo at St. John's Eve ceremonies around the bayous of Lake Pontchartrain began in 1869. While voodoo practitioners were making a killing from the white thrill seekers who watched the dancing, drank alcohol, bought coffee and gumbo, and sometimes sex, stories about what went down were partly fabricated and featured things from interracial orgies to cannibalism. Male voodoo practitioners were also linked to rape in the white media from the 1870s to 1880s. Wrote one New Orleans news editor in a story about voodoo. The Negroes of Haiti have had the absolute government of themselves for 3/4 of a century, and every desirable element of civilization almost has been wiped out in the decadence of the...
Right, so let me move this, and so that's just part of it. I'm going to read some of these comments, guys, and we're going to get deeper into it. Howard Skinner said, I think his name is public defender. He's a male feminist, yeah. Let's see. Shout out to my man St. James. St. James was the #1 sponsor of the stream on yesterday. He donated $100. He donated another $20 today. I really appreciate it, brother St. James. Thank you for your love and your support. Shout out to Gregory Scholar and St. James, as they both are the #1 sponsors of the stream. I appreciate you guys showing love and support. Shout out to St. James and shout out to brother Gregory Scholar.
It's the money.
All right, so how witchcraft hates masculinity. So we talked about it. Because witchcraft wants power. Witchcraft wants to be in control. And I'm going to show you guys. First, I'm going to go into Jeffre's video. Actually, I'll get Jeff in a minute. But let's look at this spirit of witchcraft.
Did you know
Hold on.
that Jezebel's body got eaten by dogs? So she was looking down from her window, and Jezebel started to taunt Jehu. Now, Jehu was a general who had...
Now, who is Jehu? Kevin Samuels had a Jehu spirit. I have a Jehu spirit. Jehu was a prophet of the Most High that called out Jezebel and her emissaries. Men that operate in the Jehu spirit often are under attack. Elijah had a spirit of Jehu. Jehu is the one that sounds the trumpet from the Most High. And many don't like it. The Jehu spirit is the spirit of masculinity. It doesn't bow to the spirit of Jezebel. So anytime you start calling, listen, this young man, the way he told the story, he did it eloquently. And that's why I've always told people, it don't matter how you tell the truth. They accuse Kevin Samuels of being too harsh. You can tell the truth harshly. You can tell the truth softly. You can tell the truth eloquently. It doesn't matter. Darkness hates light, and and darkness hates the truth. Darkness doesn't want the truth because darkness loves light. It doesn't want truth. So it don't matter how you tell the truth. A lot of these women are broken. And not only are they broken, they have a lot of hatred towards men. And they always see men as the emissaries when they themselves are the emissaries against men and masculinity and young boys. That's why you can't listen to a weak man like Barack Obama that has a Ahab spirit. Barack Obama has an Ahab spirit. This woman tells him what to do. His woman, but his woman tells him what to do. because she has a witchcraft spirit. She has a hatred towards men. This woman has been assailing that man in public for the longest, and he sits back being the passive, weak simp that he is and does nothing. And so we're dealing with what people don't understand. Some of this stuff is psychological, but as a therapist, we look at things through what's called the biopsychosocial spiritual lens. And when these phenomena can be explained, we call it the phenomenological argument. The phenomenon behind this is a spirit of witchcraft, divination, and the occult, because it wants control. It wants to control the masculine voices of men. It wants to totally subjugate men, because once again, that's the spirit of witchcraft.
Overthrown and killed her son. Now Jehu ordered her eunuchs, which were upstairs with her, to throw her out of her window. So later, when he commanded that she be properly buried as a king's daughter, it was then discovered that just like the prophet Elijah had spoken, dogs had eaten most of Jezebel's body. Now, Jezebel's goal was to bring...
Shout out to my man Byron Hammer TV. Shout out to Byron Hammer TV for that £4.99. Thank you, my dear British brother. And shout out to Byron Hammer TV again for that $4.99 pound. And you're right, brother St. James, they cannot serve two masters. Kevin, people leaving gifts in a rich grave. It's crazy, man. This stuff is deep. It goes deep. But let me show you. Hold tight.
Pagan worship to the kingdom of Israel. And Queen Jezebel paid the ultimate price for trying to do that. See, no one can come against the Most High. So she was thrown from a high window, and then her unattended body was devoured by dogs, fulfilling the prediction of the prophet Elijah, who was God's prophet and also Jezebel's nemesis. Now check out the other videos I have on Jezebel and the spirit of Jezebel, and I will see you in the next video.
This is your sign. Put witchcraft on.
Now listen, the fact that witchcraft is proliferating is a sign that we're in the last days. The fact that witchcraft is proliferating is a sign that we're in the last days. Also, it's a sign that the ecclesia, or the church, or many churches, not all, are not carrying calls of truth. Yahweh is powerful. He's powerful than any witch and any sorcerer. But because the churches now don't preach the gospel, people are turning to alternative religion. That goes back to what Dr. William Glasser said. Needs drive behaviors. When people don't get their needs met, their spiritual needs met, their psychological needs met, their physiological needs met, and their sociological needs met, then they turn to the dark side because the church is so weak now. It's not because the church doesn't have power to assuage the psychological spiritual needs, but it's because the church is not amplifying the truths and the virtues of the Most High. So they turn to the dark arts, they turn to witchcraft. Eve had it perfect in the Garden of Eden. She had everything she wanted. But Eve was power hungry. And Eve was the first person that practiced witchcraft because she wanted the gnosis, which was the knowledge. She wanted the gnosis. The Most High said not to go into the tree of life, but she wanted the gnosis. And so Lucifer came to her and said, you shall be as a God. You shall be just like God. And they're still doing it. They're still trying to get the gnosis, which is tied to power. Yeah, I seen it. It's called conjure. I'm gonna get into it in a minute.
He's not calling you? Put witchcraft on him.
Did you hear what this woman just said? He's not calling you, put witchcraft on him. The insecure witch, the broken witch, the overweight witch, the lying witch. She's a witch. And a lot of women are practicing witchcraft. They think they're going to heaven, but they're not. They're going to be eternally lost. There's going to be a special place that God's going to hold in judgment for those that practice dark arts. Because you're born into the oculus. Oculus means the unknown. Oculus means the unseen eye, the eye of Horus. The eye of Horus. You go into the dark side. We're getting involved with the demonic. And some of the men and women that you're dealing with, guys, might be practicing witchcraft. I think I dealt with the first girl I ever dealt with. I think she was practicing witchcraft. She was from the Caribbean, man. And I'll never forget it, guys. I was dating this chick, and you know, I was trying to live right. But one day she would cook some food, man. She cooked some collards, she cooked some smoked neck bones, she cooked smoked pork chops, she cooked mac and cheese and potato salad. And then I said, "What do you put in that what do you put on that salt? Or what do you put on your barbecue sauce?" And she said, "It's a special sauce." And she said it very witchy. She said it very witchy. And she had my nose wide open, guys, for a while. So I had to get out of there because it was a demonic stronghold. So I was probably a said by a witch at one point. A witch that was in church, which is crazy to say the least.
Told me that it would make a young Canadian pop star fall in love with me. Thanks, Dad.
Okay, listen to me. This just took be careful who you date to a whole nother level. Because just this last weekend, I found myself on a side of TikTok I didn't know existed. And I'm gonna guess a lot of you watching didn't know as well. Which is, no pun intended, which is putting spells on their boyfriends without them knowing. Go ahead and check some of these videos out.
If you came across this video, it's so you need to learn how to control that man and make him submit to your will.
I cast a spell on.
Listen to what she just said, submit to your will. That's out of order. If a woman is trying to get a man to submit to her will, she's out of order. Because she should be submitting to the will of the man. The man's job is to lead her, not her lead him. And so the feminist spirit is a spirit of witchcraft. That's why they're coming against this young man, Jeffre St. James, and any other masculine man, Kevin Sanders as well.
On my boyfriend.
The amount of time that you're hoping and wondering and fantasizing about him breaking no contact, girl, it's been over a week. Do witchcraft on him already.
When they ask how I get my man to listen and do whatever I say.
Shout out to my man, the Raw Report, for that $25 cash app. I appreciate the Raw Report, as he's the #1 sponsor of the stream. And also shout out to the Raw Report. I'm showing love on yesterday as well for giving 25, man. Thank you, Raw Report, for showing love, brother. I really appreciate that, sir. Thank you, good sir.
Control love spell.
Okay, and the scarier part is this doesn't even have to be someone that you are necessarily dating. This could be someone who just has a crush on you.
Me and the devil. Think carefully about who you're doing this for, because you won't be able to distance yourself from that person ever again. Take a sanitary pad and make a hole in it. Through this hole, insert a photo of the person you wish to have in your life. If you are on your period, it is much more effective.
And the scariest part of
Do y'all see that? Do you men see that? Jeffre St. James did nothing wrong. But you're dealing with a witchcraft spirit, because the witchcraft spirit hates traditional masculine men that stand on business. The witchcraft spirit wants to control a man. The witchcraft spirit wants to control a man. Control a man, destroy a man, smear the name of a man. And also the witchcraft spirit wants to devour a man. It wants to control, it wants to devour, and also it wants to destroy. And as we get closer to the end, we're going to see more of it. I've never in my life seen a time where people are practicing witchcraft with impunity and don't have any regard for who are more or less the people that they are hurting.
of it all, it works.
Okay, ready? We listen and we don't judge. In 2022, me and my boyfriend broke up in August, and I pretty much spent 9 months wishing that we would get back together and trying to find a way to get back together with him. And I was in my delusional era, so I was on TikTok on the tarot card girls that like tell you that your ex is getting back to you. Yeah, so that was all over my For You page, and I saw this video of this girl doing this love spell, and I think she was a witch, but I don't know. And I was in a time of desperation, and I did the love spell, and within 2 days he was texting me and calling me, and then within a week we were hanging out, and now we've been back together for over a year and a half almost.
Remember, this is what I just said earlier, guys. So rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. How many women, most women, guys, and most women now are operating under rebellion. They're operating under a rebellious undertone. Just like Lucifer was a rebel against the Most High. Remember, Lucifer was created by the Most High, but Lucifer is no different than the modern woman. Lucifer in John Milton's Paradise Lost saw the Most High as an emissary. That's why a lot of Satanists tend to love Lucifer, because Lucifer means the bright and shining one. And also, he's an angel of light. He's an angel of deception. And Lucifer hates order. Anything that's masculine, he hates it. So rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is iniquity and idolatry. Stubbornness is sin, and also it's idolatry because it's the worship of self, and many times in modern women it's the worship of feelings. That's why witchcraft hates masculinity. Witchcraft, which is control, teaches the men to be slaves to the feeling of the women. And that man is not leading her, he's allowing her emotions to lead him. And it's so bad, it's even in the church. That's why a lot of black men don't go to church. Not because the power of the Most High is not greater than the spirit of witchcraft, because the so-called ambassadors of the Most High are weak themselves.
Almost 2 years, and I am convinced that the love spell actually worked, and I have kept it because I'm afraid to throw it away, because if I throw it away, what if he breaks up? We break up, and this man now worships the ground I walk on like it's a completely different relationship than we were together before, and he would literally take a bullet for me, and it is the most healthy and best relationship I have ever had. And I swear that those witch girls, they just know something that we don't, because I never believed it, and I believe. We listen and we don't judge.
I remember when I did a love spell on my boyfriend because he was treating me bad and I wanted him to act differently. It worked.
Do you see what I'm talking about, guys? He was treating me bad. The broke witch, the trauma-informed witch, the hurt witch, the lying witch, the overweight witch. It's many times women that operate in the spirit of witchcraft is coming from a place of hurt and pain. Sometimes it's coming from a place of hurt and pain. So they get their power because they're not physically stronger than men do witchcraft, which is control and manipulation.
And this may be your first introduction to the reality of the spiritual realm, but for Christians, we have been knowing about the spiritual realm, and our eyes are wide open that witchcraft is real and that it is powerful and that people are using it today in growing numbers. And these spirits that so many are calling on aren't like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Warning. Oh, no, please don't scream. I promise I won't hurt you.
These spirits are actively working night and day to not only keep you from the knowledge of the gospel, convincing you Christians are crazy and out of our minds to believe in the Bible. Silly Christians, you actually believe in that stuff. You actually believe in that book. But aside from convincing you that Christians are the crazy ones, their number one goal is to destroy your life. And the reality is that if you are not under the protection of God, you are on your own. And when it comes to the dating world, you are also on your own. In this video, you will discover that it's no longer just about finding some girl or guy that you think is cute. Nope, it is a lot more than that now. You now truly have no idea if this person is lighting candles and chanting around their room at night with a picture of you on the wall. And let's just say that you break up with, or you hurt, or you cheat on one of these witches, you are on your own.
This is your sign. Put witchcraft on him. He's not calling you? Put witchcraft on him.
If someone has caused you pain and you want them to feel it 3 times more.
Listen to what they just said, guys. See, this is psychological. I told you, a lot of this witchcraft stuff is tied to trauma, pain, brokenness, power, control, hurt, manipulation. But many times it's tied to some level of trauma. That's the trauma-informed witch. Symbolically and also literally. She's a trauma-informed witch. Because in her mind, I gotta hurt the men that hurt me. I can't beat them physically, but I'm gonna put witchcraft on them, which is an abomination, but also it's gonna lead them to eternal damnation. Those that practice in the dark arts will lead to eternal damnation, because you're getting into a realm that God never intended you to get into. You're dealing with what's called Nephilim spirits. These Nephilim spirits are the spirits of the fallen ones, which were giants. And those giants in the book of Enoch taught men sorcery. He taught them witchcraft. He taught them the zodiac. He taught them astronomy. He taught them all of those things. He taught them the dark arts. That's why a lot of times psychology don't understand the spirit realm. That's why many times we call that the phenomenological argument, because many times men like Carl Jung, Edward Casey, they were tied into some of the dark arts. They used Christian teaching, but also was tied into what was called the shallow side. Now, many will say the shallow work has some good tendencies, but there's a dark side to shallow work too. I used to talk about shallow work, but I realized that some of it was tied into paganism. And I'll talk about it at some point later.
More. Here's a simple but effective ritual.
So my husband got on my nerves this afternoon to make him go back on everything he said. Go ahead and create some love magic. He gonna do a complete 360. He's gonna be calling me baby. Just like that.
If that person made you suffer, make him suffer too with this ritual.
And just like Lucifer didn't go to the man, Lucifer went to the woman, because Lucifer knew that the woman was more susceptible to her feelings. He knew she was more susceptible to her feelings, and she wanted the knowledge. She wanted the gnosis. Gnosis means knowledge. She wanted the knowledge of the unknown, which is dangerous, because you're getting into the spirit realm. And when you start getting into the spirit realm, you're dealing with powerful entities that many times you cannot control.
If I was a guy, this would be very scary and alarming to me, but as a Christian male, I wouldn't be afraid. Because like I said, we are all very well aware as Christians that this stuff is going on, and it is no power to the Holy Spirit. The worship and seeking of supernatural powers other than God has been around since the beginning of time. Satan has used witchcraft to prevent people from finding spirituality in God alone. And like the Bible also says, there is nothing new under the sun. So the fact that witch talk is popping in 2025 is not really that surprising. But when I go to share this stuff with my parents, anybody older in my life, explaining to them how many people are actually practicing witchcraft, that these celebrities are doing it, that the neighbors are probably doing it, they look at me like I have 3 heads, you guys. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that this is going on, yet Gen Z is already so desensitized to it. It's normal. It's not a big deal. In fact, it has become an aesthetic. But while we don't have an exact percentage of how many Gen Zers and millennials are practicing witchcraft, we can look at the terrifying fact and reality that witch talk has more than 45 billion views on TikTok. I say this because it really makes you wonder, what are the odds that I find myself in a relationship with somebody that practices witchcraft? Or anyone for that matter. If your coworker is practicing witchcraft, if your aunt is practicing witchcraft, so many people are messing with this stuff. And how I even stumbled on this in the first place was because I cannot escape this Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber drama on my TikTok feed. No matter how many times I click not interested, it just keeps finding its way back to me. And I was bored and I went down this whole Hailey Bieber conspiracy rabbit hole where people are claiming that she allegedly got Justin Bieber to fall in love with her through witchcraft. Here's a quick look at that.
So we found a video of Justin Bieber's wife, Hailey Bieber, coming out saying that she did witchcraft to get Justin Bieber.
This is a little tincture potion that I got. I would say probably when I was around 12, my dad flew me to go meet with this witch who lived in the mountains, and she made this specifically for me. She told me that it would make a young Canadian pop star fall in love with me.
We also see different pictures like this. We see her messing with different crystals like this.
Also, another celebrity that my subscribers watching will already be well aware of, which is Jennifer Lopez. Her ex-husband, Ojani Noah, alleges J-Lo used voodoo to cast spells on him and insists her former fiance, Sean Diddy Combs, her second husband, Chris Judd, and Mark Anthony have also been victims. Also,
hey guys, here's the crazy thing about all of this nonsense. You're not gonna take none of this stuff with you. You will die at some point, and all the wealth, all the money, all the power will mean nothing when you stand in front of the Most High. None of this stuff on this planet is worth losing your soul over. That's why people need God and therapy, because therapy is powerful when it's utilized to the proper medium.
So Katy Perry claims she did witchcraft to hook, line, and sink Orlando Bloom. And guess what, you guys? These
and the truth is, somebody said that Kanye West, what's the name of those chicks, man? That Kanye West was doing with. God, man, what is those chicks' name? The first chick that Kanye West was doing with, that was messing with Lamar Odom. The million chicks. What's her name? Kardashians. Thank you, Jay Monet. Yeah, they're dealing with the dark arts. Balenciaga. That stuff is tied to witchcraft. I mean, this stuff is real, man. And I've never seen it proliferate like it's proliferating now. But it's proliferating because the church no longer is personifying the power of God. It's not because the witch got more power than God. God can destroy a witch. A person that's operating in the power of the anointing of the Most High can tell that witch to stand still. That witch has no power over a believer. A unison of believers, when they come together and join hands, he says, when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I shall be in the midst. And so when believers come together, I don't care how strong that witch is, there have been stories of men of God that prayed. And when those men of God were praying, the person that was operating under a familiar spirit, the spirit had to leave because it has no power under a believer that's under the power of God. A person's under the power of the Most High can make a witch stand still. If you don't believe me, look at the 7 sons of Sceva in the book of Acts. When you operate on the anointing of the Most High, a witch can't do anything to you, but stand still and follow in the power of God.
are great examples for us to look at how deceiving witchcraft is.
So we understand that if somebody does witchcraft to get a man, they may get him, but that happiness will not last, that joy will not last. Sooner or later they will be tormented and the energy inside of them will be drained.
It seems like a great idea at first, but then it crashes and it burns. Just like anything the devil has to offer you, it doesn't last. But aside from all that, even as a Christian, somebody who has lived in the world before, I could see myself not knowing Jesus and being enticed, being attracted to the idea of wanting to cast a spell. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted a specific guy to like me that just didn't, and how many times I wanted a relationship to work out that just wouldn't. And if I had this shiny little golden ticket waved in front of my face saying it could all be yours if you just do X, Y, and Z, sadly and embarrassingly, I will admit that I could definitely see myself doing this to a boy that I like, especially seeing how it is working and my underdeveloped brain in my early 20s. And that's honestly the sad part about all of this, is that most of these girls do not know any better, and some of them are facing real heartbreak. Then they stumbled upon an influencer doing this on their TikTok feed, someone who made it look trendy and cute to be able to say they are just being spiritual. But the reality is that the spirits that you are playing with are dark.
Yes, they are dark spirits, and they're very powerful spirits. And they can lead to oppression, suppression, but also they can lead to possession. Because Lucifer is a spirit of darkness. When you think about God and God and mental wellness, God is light, God is love, and He's also life. But Lucifer is dark, he's death, and he's evil. And so the beautiful side of evil always come out in a manifestation of being great in the beginning. But the scripture said that the wages of sin is death. That's why when we turn to the dark arts to get somebody, just let them go, because the vengeance is mine, saith God. But once again, people are getting into the dark arts because it goes back to what the Dr. William Glasser said. These drive behaviors, power, fun, freedom, belonging, and survival. Some of these women are turning to the dark arts because they're looking for power. Feminism is tied into the spirit of power. It's tied into power and control and the subjugation of the masculine, the divine masculine. Because the masculine was never supposed to be subjugated under the woman. The masculine is supposed to ground the feminine, because the masculine is doing and the feminine is being. But because of the curse, women want power in relationships. That's why if a woman's not under the power of the Most High, she can go to her dark side, which is carnal, and also to subjugate the man.
Yet so many will defend this and say that witchcraft is not evil. Guys, if that's you, this movement on witch talk should be verification for you of how evil and wicked witchcraft is. And you want to know why? Because this was really eye-opening for me diving into this topic. Because you're taking the most beautiful and indescribable feeling that us as humans on this earth experience, and that is love. And you are perverting it. Love is patient and it's kind and it protects. Love isn't forcing somebody to do something that they don't want to do. It doesn't manipulate and dishonor. It doesn't deceive or destroy. And this is why God hates this stuff, you guys, because it is not from him. God is love. That is why the devil takes something as beautiful and sacred and holy as love and perverts it. The fate of those who give themselves over to these things is eternal separation from God. This can't happen, none of that, okay? None of that is coming near the New Jerusalem because it destroys. And I love how the article about J-Lo allegedly using voodoo on her ex-husbands, it refers to those men as victims, and that is exactly what they are. These men can't even protect themselves. The only way to be protected and to be warned about who these girls are before you even make it to the second date is with the Holy Spirit. Because even my
And you're right, though. There's no such thing as there's no such form of good witchcraft. You got this different ways. You got the dark side of witchcraft or the so-called light side, but it's still witchcraft. There's no such thing as a white witch or a black witch. It's all divination. Because you're getting what's called esoteric knowledge. You're getting what's called supernatural knowledge. We're getting knowledge that's outer-worldly. A lot of this stuff, like I said, that, from manipulation of objects, this stuff came from Nephilim. I believe the astronomy came from Babylon. All of it came from Babylon, which is what's called Eastern religion. But the greatest arbiter of dark knowledge came from our progenitor. His name was Ham. And Ham was the son of Cush, the grandson of Noah. And so if you want to get into some of the dark art, a lot of this dark art actually came out of African religions. Mauritius, Voodoo, it's all dark knowledge, man. I've heard people tell me, they said, some of the African deities are stronger than some of the European ones. And it makes sense because the Canaanites practiced witchcraft. Canaanites were the descendants of Ham.
girls watching this video, makes you wonder, what if you have an enemy? I know that I had so many in high school, and I could only imagine
salute to the homie.
As prevalent.
Salute to my brother. I'm sorry, man. Salute to him.
I probably would have had a girl or two practicing spells and lighting candles about me in their room. And that just made me think of that scene in White Chicks. That was a planted seed in the minds of so many girls. I just now realized that filming this video, that if you don't like someone and somebody is bullying you or somebody is being mean to you, you can ruin their lives. But to close out this video, I just want to highlight on the fact that, guys, as Christians, we need to be so careful who we date, and we need to be led by the Holy Spirit. We need to be asking for God's guidance when it comes to the relationships that we are looking to be in. I personally shared my testimony on that just 2 months after I gave my life to Jesus. Somebody was sent in my life, and he was not sent by God. So I'll let you do the math. Who do you think sent this person into my life? Love is blinding and love is captivating, and the heart is the most deceitful thing in our bodies. Do not be led astray by your heart. If someone is sent by God, that person will value purity with you. That person will value God's truth above all else. Do not get yourself in a relationship with somebody that is not rooted in God. As we have verified in this video, things can get really messy and really dark really fast. God bless you guys. I pray that you enjoyed this video, and I pray that you enjoyed doing this deep dive with me today, and I will see you guys for our next.
And see, guys, here's the problem. That witchcraft spirit don't like women like her either. That witchcraft spirit don't like women like J. Monet. The witchcraft spirit called them pygmies. The witchcraft spirit called them male identified, because the witchcraft spirit doesn't want order. Once again, the witchcraft spirit is tied to psychopathology, it's tied to pathological issues. It's rooted in pain, hurt, fear, subjugation, and also the lack of maturity in spiritual development. But the dangers of that is that a lot of these women are getting tied into witchcraft. And it's dangerous. And I'm going to show you guys something in a minute. Shout out to my dear friend Jay Monet for the 5. Thank you, dear, for showing love. I really appreciate that. I'm going to show you guys something. How powerful this stuff is getting. And shout out to Sister Bashir. Shout out to that good sister as well. But let me show you guys something. How this stuff is dangerous. And how brothers like Jeffrey St. James has to be careful. Even me, myself. That brother did nothing wrong. He just told the truth. You're going to see he's a very eloquent guy. But he just told the truth. Let me show you guys something. They made witchcraft so palatable now. Now they're using it in social media. Hold tight. So it's called Conjure Voodoo. Yeah, this dark art stuff, guys. This stuff is dangerous, man. Some of the men you're dealing with, that woman that's constantly going against your leadership and you're trying to lead her. That woman that's into chakras, crystals, chart signs and all that stuff, you know. That woman that want to do tarot readings, she's into the dark arts. And if she doesn't repent and turn away, she's going to bring damnation to her soul. Because once again, many women get into the dark arts because of pain. But sometimes they get into dark arts because they want power. They want control. And they want the man under them. That's why I said feminism is a spirit of witchcraft.
Show me the bottom then. Show me where you started from.
Hold tight. And just like in this show called Conjure, you know what it's all tied to? It's all tied to power. It's all tied to power and money. How rich really, look at how they're more or less, it's the beautiful style of evil. The Good Lies, the song that Kevin Samuels will always play. The Good Lies. Robert made us got a song called Beautiful Lies. It's the beautiful side of darkness. And if you're not careful, you can fall into it. Because it all came from trying to get the gnosis, which was dark knowledge. Osiris, the all-seeing eye, all this stuff ties back to paganism and ritualism. And there are many people that are innocent that have gotten into it and they didn't even know it. But once again, it's all tied back to pathology. Look at this. Look at what it said, guys. Y'all think I'm making this stuff up. That power. Did I not just say that? Rebellion is idolatry and stubbornness is at the sin of witchcraft. Rebellion is witchcraft and stubbornness is idolatry. The modern woman is stubborn because she wants power. Happy wife, happy life. It's about power. Partner is about power. Because the woman is not the partner of her husband. She's his wife. He wasn't made for her, she was made for him. And it doesn't mean that the man should use the power to be overbearing. But many women that say, I want a partner, really is saying that I don't trust your leadership. I don't trust that you're not going to abuse your power and hurt me. That's where that's coming from. So partner says we have equality in the relationship. I will argue, why get in a relationship with a man if you don't trust that he's going to lead you? So women that are constantly bucking against masculine leadership, they don't want to relinquish the power because they're emotionally unavailable and they're broken women. And so just like Lucifer wanted power. He wanted power because he was full of pride. And that pride is tied to the dark side of a person's personality, which is more regressive, which is self. It's a regressive side of the ego. Regression is the more primitive side of the ego. It's a regressive mindset. It's about power. Frederick Douglass said that power never conceded to anything without a struggle. It never have, and it never will. The scripture said in the book of Genesis that she would have a desire for her husband, meaning she wanted power. But then it said that he would rule over her because of the curse of sin. So the man is supposed to lead the woman, not to lead in unrighteousness. He's supposed to lead in love. But the man is supposed to guide her into the light, instead of she guiding him into darkness. You know how many men I talk to that are in relationships where they have no power, where they come home broken, they don't get any intimacy from their wives, because she's operating under a Jezebel spirit, which is witchcraft. What they're showing you guys is the beautiful side of evil. The conjure family. Look at how they paint darkness is beautiful. The beautiful side of evil. The good lies, beautiful lies.
Oh, they're worshiping the devil.
It's taken to the far extreme of like devil worship.
And they're trying to minimize it because, listen, there is no white witch. There is no good witch. There's no white magic. It's all dark magic. Even if it's white magic, it's dark magic. Because anytime you go into anytime you use alchemy, you use sorcery, anytime you use necromancy, which is consulting the dead, you're operating under a spirit of witchcraft. But the beautiful side of evil says that, oh, it doesn't mean that's what. Right now, that's a lie of Lucifer. Lucifer told the woman that she should be as God. It's a beautiful side of evil, and it's highly seductive. Look at what these women are saying. Teach me how to manifest a man. teach me how to manifest a man. Vision boards and tarot card readings.
Christianity teaches fear of almost everything. Witchcraft on you. She's doing voodoo on you. That's the only reason why you're with her.
I'm going to so get eaten up for saying this, that I looked in the Satanic Bible.
He broke up with me. She was afraid that I was going to put something on him.
Not being able to believe in anything else, not even your own ancestors.
If something goes wrong, it's because she's a witch. If something goes wrong, it's because of this. First of all, your son is just obsessed with me because he is. I don't have to do anything.
That's why it'd be so many fake people in the church, because they're pretending.
But, oh my God, the money, they making money, and she doing this, and they living like this.
We are against the idea that one is going to be good all the time.
And it's like, yo, I don't even know what you're talking about. He liked me because my energy. Like, oh, she's a witch, but she can't keep a man and all this other stuff. I can manifest millions of dollars. I can manifest a man.
What you know about rolling down in the deep when you pray?
That's called alchemy. All of that stuff is designed to control a man. All of that stuff is tied to control a man. Yes, ma'am. That's why I stopped saying black girl magic. I'm a child of Yahweh, not a sorceress, no doubt. No doubt, sis. Erica Badu, acolytes. I totally agree. Shout out to Hashim Shabazz, nothing but facts, salutes the kosher. Oh yeah. And guys, this goes back to psychological issues with a lot of these women too. Some of it came from brokenness and hurt. That's why they go into the dark arts. But you understand, guys, the whole thing with the dark arts is about temporary power. It's about power. It's about fame. It's about money. It's about beauty. But it's all fleeting. Your money is not going to mean anything the day you close your eyes in death. Your degrees won't matter the last days you close your eyes in death. Your power won't matter the last day you close your eyes in death. Your social status, your social rank will not matter. Only what's going to matter is that your soul is right with the Most High. That's the only thing that's going to matter. None of that other stuff going to matter. Your last day on this planet, you ain't going to be worrying about how much money you got in the bank, your degrees, and all that food stuff. The cars you drive, the fancy clothes you got. How many men you got? How many men you can seduce, or how many women you got, or how many women you can impress, or your social status, or your social attainment. Only what you do for God will last, or Christ. None of this other stuff is going to matter. And that's why the beautiful side of evil is seductive. It's very seductive. That's why so many preachers compromise. They compromise because they're carnal-minded. And that's what Lucifer told Eve, you shall be as a god. Gods have power. Look at this. That's King Solomon temple. That's the dark arts. And then these people are into rituals. They are into rituals, oaths. Some of them are chanting on pentagrams and all that stuff. Alchemy, blending in different elements. That's Nephilim knowledge. The Nephilim taught human beings, and the sky gods that came out of the sky taught men about certain herbs and alchemy to control and manipulate people. Look at this. Witchcraft. That's alchemy. What you're seeing now is alchemy. If you're not careful, you're going to bring that dark energy into your life, and you don't know what's happening. Some of them can actually lead to mental signs of mental illness because it's oppression. It's oppression and suppression. Look at what these women saying. Oh, I need to order these. You see how that witchcraft spirit is so seductive to women? It's very seductive to women. No different than Eve. She wanted to be as God. She wanted the gnosis or the knowledge. And some of you guys gotta be careful, man. Some of you guys need to be prayed up when we're talking about getting a wife in this day and age now, man. Because you gotta understand the Jezebel spirit is not just those in the practice of witches. You got women in churches that have a Jezebel spirit. These women that call themselves bishops or operate on their Jezebel spirit because it's out of order. They're gonna get mad at me for saying that, but it's the truth.
Hello, you guys. Well, hello. So, I have been working on something, and you know, I love rapid manifestation. Is it going to happen now? When is it going to happen? Is it going to start moving now? That is why when you do work with my products, I say 3.
Shout out to Bashir. She said that, she said that Madam Sprinkle is said to be a witch. She has mentioned spells and sadly black women make up her huge following. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Skinny said when Crystal Cure did her live chat about witchcraft, there was a woman in the chat claiming she was in Erykah Badu's coven. Yeah, Erykah Badu is a witch. you mean about look careful when y'all get deal with some of these women now that talk about chakras and crystals and all that foolish.
3 days, because usually within 3 days movement starts happening, and I like stuff to work really fast, right? So I've been trying to get better at it and better at the rapid manifestation. I have discovered a way to bring about a emergency oil.
Look at this woman. I bought the emergency oil and got my answer in 2 days.
Through an emergency that I was having, and just thought, dang, if I had something to use right now to shift, right now to work in my favor, right now in this emergency situation, that would be amazing. What I put together in my head with the knowledge and everything that I do know, and some of the things that I was already researching, I used it in that emergency situation. And let's just say somebody was released out of the hospital like within 2 days with a very fatal situation where they were actually in ICU. They walked out of the hospital in 2 days. Now, I'm not saying it's a cure to any disease legally. I can't, and I won't say, you know, those things, but this is real, y'all. This is really real. This is probably like I'm continuously telling myself that you outdid yourself, because I'm always trying to outdo myself. Like, I am my biggest competition. So I'm always trying to do and one up myself. Yeah, this is big, and I gave it a name after a very special person, and I'll tell you more about it when it's released. So you guys have to stay tuned. Hello, you guys. Well, hello. So I have been working on something, and you know I love rapid manifestation. Is it going to happen now? When?
All right, so let me stop this. So let's get into the spirit of Jehu, and why the modern woman hates the spirit of Jehu. The spirit of Jehu is a spirit of masculinity. Witchcraft hates traditional masculine men. That's why they laughed at Kevin Samuels when he passed away. And so masculinity in the Jehu spirit confronts unrighteousness. And that's why a lot of times fellow clinicians like myself and other clinicians, we see it all the time in therapy. Let me show you guys something real quick. Why they don't like this young man, or why, like Jeffre St. James said, they're coming for me. Shout out to that good young brother. Because it's a witchcraft spirit. Hold on.
Social media.
It is a witchcraft spirit. He's a fellow clinician like myself, but it's a witchcraft spirit.
Story short, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the feedback. I really genuinely took a lot of the feedback in about, you know, the direction I should go in terms of how to approach certain things, in terms of how to communicate to both men and women. But the hate has been crazy. They according to those that dislike what I've had to say so far, apparently I'm a hater of women. Apparently I'm gay. Apparently I have a fake degree and I'm not a real therapist. That's news to me. So you could imagine folks is scouring the internet looking to see how they can shut your boy down and potentially get me to lose all my income. So it's unfortunate that people try to approach things in that way, but that's public life, I guess. Unfortunately, I don't know that they thought about the possible.
Now you guys, now you see why some therapists don't show their faces, why some professionals don't show their faces, why what I'm doing and what this young man is doing and other therapists are trying to do, it can be dangerous, not because we're doing anything wrong, but because masculine therapy is not more or less under the framework of wokeness or the feminist theory lens. Actually, in the DSM-5, now they say that masculinity is toxic. So when men go to therapy, now most men don't feel heard anyway unless they're placating to the zeitgeist, which says that masculinity is toxic and masculinity needs to be corralled, like what Barack Obama said. An effeminate man with an Ahab spirit and a masculine wife with a Jezebel spirit. This stuff is not necessarily psychological. This stuff is spiritual. Even the woman said from the clip earlier, she said it's spiritual. And it's true. It's spiritual. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And so I salute this young brother. Pray for this young brother as well.
Possibility that I not only intentionally did this, but I intentionally wanted to get those specific reactions from them. And I had 3 traps in mind. The first of which was number 1, Kevin Samuels. Now, I can recall not that long ago, constant thing that was said was, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And everyone was talking about, not everyone, but the ones who were like, the ones that really hated him, they were like, we don't like his tone. We don't like, how he's saying it to women. He's so disrespectful. And I really tried to make a concerted effort to not do that. Didn't matter. So it turns out one of my strategies was to prove that for many people who were against many of the true things that Kevin Samuels and Crimson Cure and many of the other commentators and podcasters have been saying, that is true about what's wrong in society and our culture and within our dynamics between men and women. Turns out a lot of you, it really wasn't about tone or how to say it. You just didn't like the messenger. And you felt like because you didn't like who it was coming from or how it was packaged, you could reject the truth. And believe it or not, that was actually my goal. And to further prove that I think they really weren't interested in the truth, these were the same people that cheered when that man died. So honestly, I'm not super duper interested in wanting their praise when I saw what they were willing to cheer for. But strategy number 2, or trap number 2, is I wanted to expose the current zeitgeist that we're in presently in Western countries, especially in America. We are in a mental, verbal, cultural, and political matrix of control by Marxists, extremists, third and fourth wave feminists.
Yes, young brother's telling the truth. Yes,
centered
society,
culturally. And I think in the quest to kind of move us away from the patriarchy and de-center men, there was an option to kind of.
That young brother's telling the truth. Something that I've talked about, some that other men have talked about in the past. This is a gynocratic order. and the gynocracy does not want any masculine voices to speak. Remember, Jehu was a prophet of the Most High. And Jehu spoke against Jezebel, just like Elijah did. And anytime you speak against the spirit of Jezebel, they're coming for you. So when you boldly proclaim and speak out against unrighteousness, they're coming for you. And like I said, this young man haven't done anything wrong. He just stood firm in business, and he's just telling the truth. That's why I said a lot of therapists now, many folks don't go to therapy. And let me say this whole thing about therapy, guys. Therapy's gotten a bad name because therapy mostly now is under the auspices of gynocentric thought. But if you're going to sell therapists and say therapists bad, then you must sell lawyers, because there are good lawyers and there are bad lawyers. There are good doctors, there are bad doctors. There are good teachers, there are bad teachers. There are good and bad in all professions. If that's the case, then if therapy is a whack job, then we should say lawyers are whack, because most lawyers want to argue they just want money. And most will argue they won't defend you properly. But I would be a fool to assume that all lawyers are bad, because there are some good lawyers. And some good lawyers actually operate under ethics. But just like there's some lawyers that do not operate under ethics, there's some therapists that don't operate under ethics. And sadly, many of these therapists now that go to school, they don't know how to separate their own worldview from this feminist man-hating worldview that you see now. That's why a lot of clients want traditional masculine therapists. When I was at Carolina, I didn't say it. My associate dean said it. She said, many therapists want men like you. I said, what do you mean? She said, because a lot of our therapists are very effeminate. And effeminate also means they're under the woke umbrella.
Center both of us, to center families, to center community. Instead, the far extremists of the feminist movement decided we should prioritize and kind of center women and be female centered. This is why you'll hear terms like, as proof of this, believe all women, happy wife, happy life. They can pretty much be allowed to define what a real man is. They're allowed to say what's wrong with men, and their feelings can be above facts, even if it goes completely against their argument or their ideology. You know, it's one of those things that's pretty much infiltrated every major area of our culture and society, from schools to HR departments, the media, you name it. And basically the conclusion is that it was socially acceptable to point out men's bad behaviors, and we aren't allowed to do the same with women. Now, why is that problematic? Well, one, when women try to do it, they're called pick-me's, and they're told to have internalized misogyny and that they need to decenter men. But when men do it, what I've noticed both in myself and with other people, there seems to be a pattern of attack. And this was the second point I wanted to make. I wanted to expose how rampant and normalized this culture of primarily centering women and women's feelings and women's issues and women's concerns and women's perspectives. Anyone that steps out of line against it, especially men, this is typically the pattern of attack. They're called the misogynist. Mm-hmm. They're told not that, you know what, maybe what he's saying could be true, and maybe this is something I as an individual woman or us collectively need to improve on. Instead, they say, nope, if I don't like what he's saying and it's about us, he has to hate women. Then they go to the second part. They'll call you sassy if you continue to engage. They'll call you gay. If you have a relationship, they'll try to figure out a way to undermine it or destroy it. Mm-hmm. They will obviously attempt to go through your past, scour the internet, find out what they can to try to expose you to hopefully destroy your credibility.
Because exposition is a Luciferian spirit. Listen, everybody got things in their past this bad, but that does not invalidate the message of what the person is saying. But once again, the Luciferian spirits is tied to accusatory spirits. Lucifer is called the accuser of the brethren. People that operate under witchcraft always have what's called a narcissistic trait, which is tied to what's called a smear campaign. And he's right about them trying to, find your wife and, find out bad things. I don't care. My life, you find out what you want to find about a person. It's still, let's say they got something in their past. It still don't validate what they're saying is the truth. Because you got something in your past. Imagine they scour your past and seeing all the evil and wickedness that you've done to invalidate what you're trying to say. But this is God's a sign of witchcraft. It's a witchcraft spirit. Because it's tied to rebellion and control.
And kind of, remove you from the audience, so to speak. And then lastly, they'll come for your credentials and they'll try to destabilize you economically, with the hope being that you will believe what we believe and say what we allow you to say. And we will do all that we can do to break you until we get you to be silent, right, and in submission.
Right.
That is the environment that we're currently operating in and have been for quite a while.
Right.
When it comes to men speaking out about dating, relationships, and general habits that's happening in the culture. Not when I say something about men, only when I say something about women. But number 3, and this is the one that I think probably hits home the most. I wanted to do a social experiment by kind of throwing some of these things out there during these podcasts. And I had an hypothesis that there was a rampant, very normalized, just distaste and hatred and lack of care for men and men's issues. I think based on everything we've been seeing online and a lot of these comments, I think my point has been proven. And I know this because with everything I just said so far, most of you men and women would acknowledge, and in 2025, everybody knows what the term is for a strong hatred and distaste for women: misogyny, or being a misogynist. Fortunately, a lot of people did not hear and or find out what the equivalent was for having a strong hatred
for men
and distaste for men.
Misandry.
Being a misandrist.
Right.
Or misandry. The fact that you didn't know, or the fact that you just found out, is proof that we've actually been functionally, culturally in an environment where 1/2 of the population has been above reproach, and the other half are the only ones that's seen as sinners. So with this social experiment of trying to expose this rampant distaste and hatred and lack of just genuine care for men and men's issues, case in point was like paternity tests. What were many of the comments that were being said? Stop whining. Why should we care? Men created the system. So men need it's men's issue. Oh, that's an apex fallacy, by the way. And I also made a point in the Sharing My Truth podcast with the two lovely ladies. I had said the only time a lot of women will care about men is often if they are in a relationship with them, if they are related to him, or if they can control him. And I think that my point has been proven. They expose themselves when we bring up something or anything that is a benefit to women at the expense of men, and they will not and won't want it to ever change. Maya Angelou, when she said, when someone shows you who they are, you need to believe them the first time. Now, when I use the terms like feminists and third and fourth wave feminists, that actually includes both men and women, because there are male feminists, by the way. I see those individuals, those that are on the farthest extremes of only being able to see good in one sex and not the other, not being able to critically be open to critiquing both sides and seeing as both sides needing to bring something to the table to fix what's happening. We need to start labeling these people as loners. They are loud, obnoxious, narcissistic, entitled, and either rude and or ratchet. Male and female loners. If you come into contact with them during conversations on social media, in person, and they are loud, obnoxious, narcissistic, entitled, and rude and or ratchet, they are loners. We have to leave them alone. We have to leave them alone on OnlyFans. We need to leave them alone in dating. We need to leave them alone in social interactions until they realize that there is value in terms of perspectives from the other side. No, we don't need to just center men. No, we don't need to just center women. We need to figure out a way to...
And the crazy thing about this young man, if you listen to what he said, if you listen to some of the things I've said in the past, 4 years ago, you know, I had a conversation with somebody, they got mad at me. I was very respectful. But they said, he's not a real therapist. I said I wasn't a real therapist. Question my credentials. They tried to say that my wife was, I was abusive to my wife. They were going to try to look my wife up because they have narcissistic traits. They're broken women. They're operating under the spirit of witchcraft. And the fact they're trying to come after this young man, it suggests that they're operating on the witchcraft spirit.
Care about both sides, both issues. And when I or other people point out a particular issue of concern, you've been socialized to believe that if the person that's sitting in front of you is telling you what you want, it's got to be true. And if the person that's telling you something you don't want to hear, it's got to be false. You got to get that out of your head. Get that out of your mental. Sometimes when you're hearing things that you may not like, I'm not saying just believe me off the rip. Don't believe anyone just off the rip. Why don't you go and test it for yourself? Go and research it. Go and look at studies. Go and try to prove me wrong, or go and try to prove yourself wrong. So those are my 3 traps. And as you can see, based off of everything that's happened in the last 2 weeks, hook, line, and sinker, they fell for it. We exposed the Marxist matriarchy that we are living and experiencing as we speak. There's 2 books that I'm presently in the process of working through this summer. Orwell's 1984 and Huxley's Brave New World. I highly, highly recommend that you order both those books. And if you read both those books, you'll learn about the internal and external ways that a civilization can kind of crumble, and how to readily identify it when people in your everyday life, as well as people in the media.
And this also ties back to a book that I need to read called New World Order. All this stuff is New World Order psychology. Shout out to my man, the Raw Reports. He's the #1 sponsor of the stream for that $35 cash app. Shout out to my man, the Raw Report. He is the #1 sponsor of the stream. Thank you, brother Raw Report, for showing so much love. The Raw Report guys showing so much love on the day. And he is the #1 sponsor of the stream for the $34 cash app. Shout out to my man, the Raw Report. Thank you, sir. He's the #1 sponsor. Thank you. And yeah, you're right, brother. The Jezebel spirit can also, it's really a genderless spirit. It can be in men as well. But from my experience, it tends to manifest itself in women. The Jezebel spirit can be in preachers that want control. It can be in certain organizations where the men want control as well. So it's really a genderless spirit. But it definitely tends to manifest itself from what I've seen mostly. In my experience, it tends to manifest itself in women. But you're correct, it can manifest itself in men and women. But once again, these women don't like masculinity. They don't like masculinity because what St. James is doing and what I'm trying to do in the other masculine men, we're operating under the Jehu spirit. The Jehu spirit is the spirit of masculinity. The Jehu spirit will expose the wickedness of Jezebel.
Politicians, religious figures, and even your common neighbors could be knowingly and or unknowingly contributing to the decline of our culture and our society.
Right.
And now you have a choice of how you want to respond because you're better able to see it. When your eyes open from the matrix and you take the red pill, you eventually get to a point where you're like, whoa, I actually don't have to just bow down and submit to things that I know isn't true. In life, in my friendships, in the workplace. We can't keep redefining what truth is. Some things are just wrong. And listen, I'm not the perfect candidate. In my next episode, I'm going to cover very much in detail my flaws, my brokenness, my shortcomings, and what I've learned from it. And not wanting to be seen as some high, mighty person, but just a human being that wants things to be better. And that if I bring my vulnerability, my honesty, and my transparency on one hand, and my experience, my knowledge, and my desire to learn more on the other hand, I think that perhaps this message can kind of break through and be just one of many messages, not only from me, but others, to really try to come at this thing just differently. And lastly, y'all, the Kevin Samuels, comparisons have been hilarious. So me and my friends, we laugh about this stuff. That was it, Kevin Samuels 2.0. Kevin Samuels reincarnated. Y'all are hilarious, man. That's a high honor to really be compared to that dude. He's an icon, and although he wasn't perfect, I think he opened up a lot of eyes, and I hope to follow suit to do the same. But no, I am not the Godfather. I'm the Godson. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.
All right, that's Brother St. James, man, and they are sadly coming for him. They're sadly coming for him. Any man that has a vestige of masculinity. I want to show you guys a video that he did, and the name of this video, I actually coined it that she's not fit for the kingdom, and most women are not fit to come into the kingdom of man or the man that they desire, because they don't understand their position, they don't understand their role, and they don't understand male dynamics. So hold tight. Let me see if I can find, because I do agree with him about the equivalent of a femcell. Let's see if I can find it. All right. And I think there's some truth to that. See, a femcell is not because she can't get a man, but she's reducing her ability to get a man because she's operating in the spirit of, she's operating under the wrong spirit, and she's also operating under the wrong umbrella. So a lot of women are not fit to come into the kingdom of the man that they want. I call it the kingdom of man. I'm no different than what Nicodemus did. He asked the great teacher Jesus, he said, what must I do to enter the kingdom of heaven? And he said that you must be born again. The modern woman needs to be born again to be fit to come into the kingdom of the man that she wants. Until she's born again, she will not be fit for the kingdom of man. Therefore, she will be by herself. Therefore, she will be what's called a voluntary, not involuntary, but a voluntary celibate, which is a femcell. And I concur with that. So let's listen.
The 18-year-old man effectively has very little to offer most single women. So he has to learn what women want and obtain it and become it. By default, a woman who's getting the attention up front, because her value is up front, if you are a poor mate selector, by the time you've gotten to 30, 32, 35, 40 plus, a woman that refuses to adjust to the type of man that she wants is effectively the equivalent of a male incel, involuntary celibate.
I was about to say that a large group of them women believe that they're the prize, so they don't even know anything about going to go gain access to a particular plethora of man or a class of man. If they're already predisposed to think that they're the prize.
If they're in an echo chamber all day hearing that they're tens and, oh, you don't have to adapt for a man, you let them come after you, then yeah, of course you're going to yield those results every time. And I think that's the main issue, is that, you know, we talked about the communications, and women don't really care to listen to men. They don't want to believe what it is that men are telling them. And they're constantly reinforced that they are doing the right thing and the men are doing the wrong thing. But we've told these women on the panel, not in particular this show, but different panelists that have came on over and over and over again, that you're going to have to make some adjustments. And it does take humility, like you said, but most people aren't willing to because they feel like they're doing the right thing. They're not really trying to hear what men are saying it. And I've mentioned the word competitive, and people will get extremely angry because I said the dating market is competitive.
And the dating market is competitive. But sadly, many don't feel as if they have to compete because they feel by default that they're the prize. I had a woman one time in therapy, my counseling session, she said that she was the prize. Man, we're not the prize unless a man make you his special prize. No woman is the prize by default. No woman is the prize by default. No woman is the prize by default. You're going to become what a man expects you to be, not assume that you're worthy to be in a man's life.
But women don't feel the need or have the humility to compete for men in a competitive market. If you won't compete in a field that's competitive, what result can you possibly get?
Well, if when you turn 18, you had access to men that was your age, in their 20s, in their 30s, and in their 40s, and that primarily was offered to you specifically because of your biology and not something you had to earn. You've now had 12-year run of not having to work for attention that's naturally going to be granted to you. Anybody, if I was a woman, I'm sure my mindset would have been very different than what it is as a man.
Wait, hold on.
I get and understand. I get and understand that.
I got to expose you to something before you go there on the youth.
Okay.
We done did it many times, but I'm gonna let the women question you on this.
Okay.
Because when you talk about a woman becoming 18 and having access to different brackets and age groups of men because of her.
And that's what men don't understand. As men continue to grow, men continue to expand, then men begin to get more options. As they grow, expand, and expound, they continue to get more options. But the problem is because of the incessant narcissism that's seen in a lot of modern women, they struggle with men that speak out and demand what they want in relationships. They speak out because they refuse to understand what men want in relationships, but they struggle with the fact.
Biological position, her youth, and all these other stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can debunk it or you're going to actually substantiate it, maybe. But there's this frontal lobe argument.
Mm-hmm.
You heard of it? I don't need to say nothing more, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, this, regardless of the development of the frontal lobe and whose develops faster and all this other stuff, I guess the main point I was trying to bring up is you typically had a run that your 18-year-old male counterpart didn't. He has to build up his value.
Traveling with DCS has made traveling the world extraordinarily easy and comfortable.
So if the 18-year-old man effectively has very little to offer most single women. So he has to learn what women want and obtain it and become it. By default, a woman who's getting the attention up front, because her value is up front, if you are a poor mate selector, by the time you've gotten to 30, 32, 35, 40 plus, a woman that refuses to adjust to the type of man that she wants is effectively the equivalent of a male incel. Involuntary celibate. Involuntary celibate is a male that can't get access to women and he refuses to do something about it. Damn. So that loser over there to the left, that guy that's not, that no woman's checking for, and he's refusing to put the work in to adjust to the market of what women's expectations are so that he can get not only the caliber of woman that he wants, but access to women, period. Because you're a woman by default, you're going to get attention from the 400-pound life, when you 400, 500-pound life, when people be on the show and they got to tear down the door to carry them out. All them big women was never single. There was still a man in there. So you getting access to a man is not a flex. You getting access to the man that you want is the challenge. So if you can't do that as a woman.
And that's why I've always said in the past, guys, that the feminine is being and the masculine is doing. The fact you got men in your inboxes, the fact you got other men trying to holler at you, that doesn't mean that you're a quality woman. There is a lot of times with the men that you don't want. The biggest flex is getting with a masculine man that you can submit to his leadership and respect and honor him, and y'all build legacy and wealth together. But many don't want to hear that.
That's been getting access to men since 18. You are the equivalent to that.
Damn.
So until you're willing to make that adjustment, that's why your outcome is what it is. I'll never have men or women come into my office and they walk out thinking society and the world has to change so that I can live life. You have to point. The greatest success you can make is to make it your responsibility, even if it's not. If it went wrong, there's something I have to do different. In my marriage, in my kids, in my friendships, in my relationship, the onus is on me.
So let me
go ahead.
Let me test your logic real quick on that. It's gonna be really quick. Are you saying that if a woman desires a man that prefers or require a woman to be 140 pounds, but she's 200, are you saying on the record that she need to go lose weight?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hold on. If this is the man she wants.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I just wanted to go on the record.
Yeah, because only in America can we say only America can we say the type of job and salary that we want, but we don't want to have to show up for the interview and want to show up late and make our own rules. Everywhere else in your life, if you wanted the degree, how many credits did you have to take? How many classes did you have to do? You wanted that job? How many interviews did you have?
And I call it relationship symmetry, where both parties benefit. The man benefit, the woman benefits. That's relationship symmetry, where they both benefit. But many times in the current milieu that we live now, it's always about her benefiting against his own best interests. Men are not allowed to have standards and preferences in this current society that we live in. Many times women are allowed to have standards. And this in itself many times is problematic, to say the least.
To go through. What's the uniform? How many times do you have to be in the office? Everywhere else in your life, there are steps and protocols and things that will lead you to the outcome you want. But then when it comes to the man that you want there to be no rules. Take me as I am. The take me as I am men are the men that nobody else wants.
Mayor J. Block. So I know this might be a little bit off the the direction that you're going.
Yeah.
But what is your thoughts on the panderer phenomenon? And I've been trying to study it right now. But in terms of how are these people that get behind the microphone and pander able to captivate such a large audience so consistent whenever that large audience can go and look at the facts and see that this guy is playing on your feelings and still turn you into a paying client?
Well, because advertisers know that it's easier to sell to women and children. So if advertisers know that, people that want to get on these platforms know that as well. So if you know that I think it's like 80% of the consumer debt is women. They know they'll spend the money. They know that they'll be on social media. And they know they would love to jump into somebody telling them what they want to hear, even if it's not true. They know that. My argument is to put women on game to what's going on. If everything that's coming out of a man's mouth makes you feel good, you should be running. Unless you think you're perfect. Unless you think you're perfect and there's nothing to change. At some point, you should hear something that kind of pricks you. Like, oh, I need to tighten up. I need to change that about myself. That's an area I need to grow in. If the guy or the man or woman with the microphone is always saying the blame is the other party, the blame is the men.
And see, we men feed their pathology. I don't mind calling out. We talk about male behavior and bad male behavior all the time, but we understand that there's not a clear balance, a balance of power and a balance of respect in relationships now. That most men have began to become clarion callers for the voices of men because there are no voices. The voice is not in the church. The voice is not in the broader media. The voice is nowhere. Most of the dignitaries now are under a feminist mindset, where the spirit is so strong it controls and seeks to silence anything that's righteous or masculine. And this young man is not any different.
I can make the crowd go crazy. Make the crowd go crazy.
It ain't you. You're never going to get that. Like, as a therapist, if you came in for 6 months and I agreed with you, all your problems is everybody else but you, what do you have to change?
Well, let's take your morals off the table.
Sure.
If you were making a critical decision to come into as a podcaster and your sole focus and your only priority and importance was to make as much money as you can, would you come in and feel that you're in or as a panderer? Take your morals off the table. A panderer, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. That confirms
it. And I know with one, and they actually do it now with men and women. With now they're telling men and women what each side wants to hear, which is what's driving the gender war thing even worse. So now you have this whole market of podcasters, red pill space, black pill space, where it's everything that's wrong in society is because of women. That's how they're marketing it. And now the guys who's not getting the success that they want in the dating market, the issue is the women. So that's the reason for why I can't get the type of woman I want. It's because of the women. If the women was better, then everything would be fine. And then on the other side, all the issues are men. Men ain't men no more. The reality is, yeah, we all got work to do. But to me, if you become more aware of the propaganda and indoctrination and the attempts to pander to you, you'll actually know when politicians are lying to you.
Well listen. If you're suffering from arrested development and if you have emotional immaturity, then you're not going to hear or more or less know when somebody is lying to you. Undeveloped people don't want to put the mirror to themselves. That can be a man or a woman, but sadly, in the current world that we live in, you tend to see it more or less manifest with a lot of modern women, sadly.
When life coaches are lying to you, when podcasters are lying to you, now you see through it. And you'll know it because if you watch enough of their material, they will never speak on certain issues or issues pertaining to certain sexes. It'll be obvious. So the guys that's going on tour and they sound like they a poet and they say this stuff on stage, but not one time has he ever said something about what a woman needs to change. He's telling her it sounds good. Women fall in love with what they hear. Men fall in love with what they see. So this is why when they want to market to men, OnlyFans, sex sells. They know how to market to us. How do they market to y'all? Tell y'all what y'all want to hear. If you start to learn this and start from an intellectual state, start breaking down why I believe what I believe, and start is the outcomes of what I'm having currently what I want, you'll have to start relooking in. I got to change something. Who I'm listening to, who I'm influenced by, who I'm going to for help and support. It changes the game.
Let me guess. You're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist myself, of course I'm going to say that's a great idea.
All right, guys, we'll stop it here. We're going to stop it here.
In there. Who broke the home? Man.
We're going to stop it here. All right, so listen, guys. Shout out to my man, I can't think of his name. Shout out to brother St. James. Look forward to chopping it with him in the future. And then also shout out to the #1 sponsor of the stream, which was the Wall Report. Shout out to the Wall Report for being the #1 sponsor of the stream, followed by Gregory Scotland, followed by brother St. James, and many others. I really appreciate it, guys. But what did you guys get from this conversation? How was this conversation beneficial? What did you guys get from this conversation today? Because, guys, once again, this was more or less symbolism. It was a combination of symbolism, but also literalism at the same time. A lot of these modern women have symbolic witch tendencies, but some of them are actually practicing witchcraft, which is a new age phenomenon that's proliferated at an all-time high. So what did you guys get from the conversation before I end this stream? Thank you guys for those that watched and supported me, man. I really appreciate it, Skinny. What did you guys get from this conversation before we end the stream? I hope the shows are helping you guys. I hope that my artistic appeal is appealing to your senses. But I hope you guys got something out of this show. I hope you guys got something. I hope you guys got something out of this show. So if you guys like what I did, give me some feedback. I'd like some of the feedback. What did you guys get from the show? How was it beneficial? Before we end it. Yes, definitely strong logic. Thanks for dropping wisdom and knowledge. No doubt, Mr. Bad Broussard. They listen, that's what I got, Doc. These lovely ladies are putting performances and we're loving their character. Great show, great show. I appreciate it, fellas. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for tuning in. But listen, guys, I do this. I take great risk in doing these shows, being a licensed therapist. But content creation is an art form. It's art imitating life and taking social trends and using clinical concepts to bring a greater conversation. And so it's not always easy to do. People that have limited faculties won't understand what I'm trying to say or do. But I'm grateful to those that do understand what I'm trying to say and do, and understand that doing these kind of shows can be dangerous, not because of what I'm doing is anything wrong, but because it goes against it's counterculture to the narrative that men should have a voice. So anyway, we're going to end it, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys tapping in. Guys, do me a favor, share the stream. And guys, let's support brother Jeffre St. James. Him and I are planning to do something in the future, hopefully. And I look forward to having a conversation with this guy, because anytime, guys, you go against the narrative, then you're not a therapist, your questions, your credentials are questioned because you're going against the status quo. So anyway, guys, get the likes up. Thank you to the Wall Report for being the #1 sponsor. And guys, we're going to end it. Get the likes up, guys, and share the stream.
Comes to us in its own time. Fighters, keepers, losers, we.
Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
Black Man Exposes.
In under 3 minutes, when a man goes through something, nobody gives a damn. Is it true? And how should the world respond to the suffering of men in crisis? Watch until the end, you won't believe what he said. Should men check out, or should the world care?
Is before you. Choose wisely. Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
Nigga ass, loser ass nigga.
Your video with comments about a
He's a
certain
loser.
other female.
Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need you.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings. And most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
You can't.
If you a that's for the streets.
You can't delete the ski. You can't delete the ski.
I know a who used to suck dick every month of night.
You can't.